All right, we're continuing the advanced series. We're in Acts chapter 27, and this one's entitled Shipwreck Survivor. Shipwreck Survivor. So Paul has been facing these trials in the court, and now he's about to face a trial on the seas. So as Paul is now on his way to Italy by the sea, he is amongst a bunch of prisoners. Now, Paul has favor with the commander in charge of the prisoners. And so he is being treated well. And so while Paul is on his way, the Lord reveals to him that this ship is going to go through a major storm. And if they don't go to the side, if they don't stay in port and they go out into the sea, they will be shipwrecked and there will be loss of lives. Paul gives them this warning. Though he had favor with the commander, they decided to ignore the warning. See, often in life, when we go through trials, it's not always the result of our own disobedience. Sometimes we're the ones being obedient, but whether it be family, friends, other church members, they're the ones being disobedient, and we have to suffer the consequences of other people's disobedience. And so some of the trials we face in life, we've done nothing wrong. If it was up to us, we could have avoided it. We knew better. But because of those around us, we have to go through it. And that's just the way it is. But the thing that we can know is God is with us. That's the most important thing, that there are a lot of trials in life that we face that cannot be avoided. And sometimes it's the consequences of other people around us. But the good thing that we can know, and the only reassuring thing, is God is always with us. He will carry us through it. And so now they're on the ship, and exactly like Paul said, the storms pick up, the ship is being badgered, all hell's breaking loose. And that's how life can get when we don't take heed to the warnings. When we don't take heed to the warnings, all hell will break loose eventually. And that's what's happening on this ship. And they finally say, Paul, you were right. We were wrong. But now they're already in the middle of the storm. There's no backing out. They can't turn around and go the other way. They're stuck. And that's what happens at times. We finally figure things out that we should have took heed to the warnings, but we're already in the middle of the storm and we can't get out of it. The thing, though, that the Lord revealed to Paul through an angel, the angel came and said, Paul, be of courage. He had said that to Paul when he was facing trial in Acts chapter 23. Be of good courage. I am going to take you through this because I promised you that you're going to speak before Caesar, and I'm going to make sure that, shipwreck or not, you're going to get to Rome and you're going to speak to Caesar. And we got to have that kind of mentality in life, that no matter what we face, that whatever God has promised us, no matter what shipwreck we experience, no matter what disaster we go through, as long as we keep trusting in God and walking by faith, God will take us through it. We will get to the fulfillment of that promise. Even with the people around us, and though things may tarry because of the disobedience of those around us, as long as we remain faithful and obedient, we will get to where God's destined us to be. And so that's what Paul's having. Paul now tells them, now God will show you mercy. Now that you're crying out to him, the ship will be wrecked, but you will not lose your lives. Everyone on this ship will survive. That's amazing, God's mercy. Initially, God told Paul to tell them they're all going to lose their lives. But here, has God changed his mind? He has changed his mind because of his mercy. As long as people turn to God, no matter where in that process, God will reach out his hand. That's the kind of God we have. He's a God of mercy. Yes, we're all going to suffer for our disobedience. There's consequences to it, but the suffering doesn't have to be so drastic. The disaster doesn't have to be as bad. It doesn't have to be as devastating. The moment we turn to God, God's hand is to reach out. Imagine how many people have died or have right before death and yet they cried out to God and God saved them. Their whole life they lived in disobedience and suffered so much, but yet because they cried out, God still saved them. That is the merciful God we have. We don't have to go through so much suffering in life if we could just learn to be obedient. But even in our disobedience, the moment we turn to God, he will reach out his hand and he'll help us through the storm. Doesn't mean we'll escape the storm, but he'll help us through the storm. And things will not be as bad. That's the courage we can have. They had to get shipwrecked. They had to be tossed in the waves. And yet they all made it alive. Typically, too, as prisoners, because those responsible for the prisoners, the guards, if they did not return all their prisoners, if anyone escaped, the guards could lose their life. But because Paul had favor with the commander said, no prisoner will lose their lives. We will all make it. And that's the goodness of God. We might have everyone turn against us, but when we're walking in God's perfect will, we walk in favor. And somebody, maybe the most unlikely person, will give us favor, will help us through. So we can survive any shipwreck in life, any disaster, as long as we keep our faith in God and keep trusting him, keep doing our part of being obedient. We can't force obedience on others, but we can stay obedient ourselves. And as long as we stay obedient, we can trust God to take us through. We will all face shipwrecks in life. But I want to be known as a shipwreck survivor. That I've gone through disaster just like everyone else, but I've survived. I haven't had to turn to drugs or alcohol or whatever it is to get through. I get through because of my faith in God. I hope this word encouraged you today. God bless you. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll be able to do a devotion either tomorrow or the next day.